Ezra 5 and 2. So Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, rose up and began to build the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. And the prophets of God were there with them, helping them. And the prophets of God were with them, helping them. All right. As the First Lady said, this is also Vision Week, or Vision Sunday. So this is the day that we get to set the vision for the rest of the year for Sacred Life. So you are all here on a very special time in the church. So I'll go over a little bit of history, and then we'll go over what we are doing right now, what the vision is. On 5/15/17, God came to me in a vision, and He asked me, where are His people? Where are His people? At this time, I was the assistant pastor of a rather old and institutional church, but it was Mother's Day, and it was almost empty. As you know, if you've been in church long enough, there are very couple of days in the church's life that are usually full. Yes. And usually mothers drag their children unwillingly to church. But in this instance, the church was almost empty. Yeah. So I said, God, I don't know. I don't know where the church, where your people are. He goes, all throughout the world, there are people that are Christians, but they're not in church on Sunday morning. And He tasked me with founding a church without walls. Founding a church that has no walls, no beginnings, no end. A church that is online and physical. A church that is both here and everywhere. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can see the camera work over here. We are double live streaming. We are live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. And we are also recording so that when we record, we can put a very clear video up later on. So, but we are also here for you. So God tasked me, because I asked God, I said, God, if I'm going to found a church, I don't want to just found a church that's like every other church. I want to found a church that's different, but I did not know how different it would be. And with that, we are now here today from that vision almost 7 months ago to now being here. We are very blessed and honored that we are able to rent out this space. We do not know how long we will be here, for we are not tied down to any one church, for we are a church without what? Walls. We are a church without walls. So we will be wherever you are, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, live streaming and available on video. Having said that, what is the vision for such a church? If you're going to say that you're going to be a church without walls, you have to have a foundation. Because the foundation is what creates the church. You cannot have a church that's floating around. In the creation of this church, I was asked several times if I was going to allow it to be Baptist. And I said, why would I not? Yes. Baptist is my roots and my heritage. It is what I've come up from. It is what has elevated me to ministry. And it is what we are undoubtedly and unapologetically. We are Baptist through and through. But at the same time, we are something a little different. Because we are reaching a different generation. We are reaching a generation of people that don't have time for church anymore. I was just at a service that was 3 hours long. I don't have a problem with the service that's 3 hours long, except that I have things to do. I have to be here. We have things to do. So to say that we're going to have a church that's 3 hours long in this day and age fits some people, but for a lot of it doesn't. So what is the vision for a church like this? I say now, we are building a temple. 7 months in, 7 months in, we are still in the ground phases of building something magnificent. It is the foundation of the church that leads us to be where we are today. Every church, even the Catholic Church, that has lasted for how long? Very long. Hundreds of years. We have churches out here in Los Angeles that have stood the test of time for over 100 years. But even them had to build what? A foundation that is solid and strong. We are in the building stages of the church. We are in the building stages. We have not reached the pinnacle yet, and I would suggest that we never will. For every time that we think we are finished, there is one more brick to be added.
Yeah.
Then where are we at? If I was to say that we are building a temple, then I must then ask, what type of temple are we building? If we are building a temple, then what type of temple are we building? I would suggest to you, we are building a temple like a tree. A tree? Why a tree? When you look at a tree, what are the characteristics of a tree that would allow itself to be compared to a temple? What are the characteristics of a tree that would allow it to be compared to a temple? Have you ever seen a large tree? Have you ever been in a forest filled with massive trees? I was down south, and I was driving down south, and it was sunshine, and then the sun came down, and then there was nothing. The trees were so thick over the highway that it blocked out the stars and the moon. Have you ever been on a highway like that?
Yes.
No?
I have.
It was so dark. The trees were so massive. In the day it seemed okay because the light was shining through, but in the night the trees were so large and so massive that you couldn't see through them. Every tree starts with deep roots. Every tree starts with deep roots. The deeper the root, the taller the tree can get. Shallow roots ends up being a tree that can be tossed around and broken and ripped out of the ground. But the strong roots of the tree makes it unmovable, able to withstand any storm that comes its way. The massiveness of the roots that are built by the tree allows it to withstand the storm and the wind. We, in our families, have to be like a tree. We, in our homes, have to be like a tree. Our churches have to be like a tree. With strong foundation, nothing can push it over. Have you ever seen a tree go through the change of seasons?
Yes.
The rains come, and the tree seems like it withers, but it's still growing. It just grows slowly. It loses the leaves, the things that's unnecessary, and it keeps itself vital and strong. Then the summer comes, and the sun shines down on it, and it starts to bring life again. And if it's a fruit tree, it starts to bear fruit. But the fruit takes a while to come to fruition. So often in our lives, we are wanting the fruit right now, but God is saying we can take the fruit later because we're not ready for all the fruits now. So we have to wait and watch it to grow. But then the fall comes, the leaves fall off, and the tree comes back, almost into hibernation. What am I saying? Through all of the seasons, the tree never stops growing. It may get hit by the winds, it may lose a branch, but that branch it sheds, it grows back two more later. We must be like a tree, able to withstand even the strongest storm. Able to withstand even the strongest storm. So often our faiths get tossed to and fro with whatever comes and comes and comes. Whatever the trend is in Christianity is what we go with. What's the trend today? What's the flavor of the month today? Is it the get-rich-quick schemes of but claim it and praise it? Or what is it? The thinking, the positive thinking of, I'm going to have it. Whatever the trend is, we must still be like what? A tree planted in our own faiths in what we believe to be true and accurate. If we can be like trees, then we can build churches that are like trees. If our families are like trees, and we are like trees, strong-rooted, grounded in what we believe. If we are like trees, then we can build families like trees. If we can build families like trees, then we can build what? Churches like trees. But if we are not trees, then how can we build a strong and stable family? If we are not sure of what we believe, then how can we tell someone else, like a child, what we believe? It is our own stability that we must work on first. Yeah. Because no one will build the temple for us. No one will build our families for us. It is left to us to build our families for ourselves. It is left to us to build our temples for ourselves. And once we have rooted ourselves, grounded firmly, then we can reach out our branches and touch other trees. But it is when we have not rooted ourselves firmly that we are susceptible to the winds of change that will knock us to and fro mercilessly. What type of trees are we? Are we the type of tree that a bird wanting to build a nest will build a nest in? When I was dating my wife, out on the porch, two birds came and began building a nest. And then they built a nest. And then they had children in that nest. And the little children were chirping, and they would wake me up every morning. I can still remember the sound of the birds chirping literally every morning. Whether I wanted to or not, I was up 5 o'clock in the morning with the chirping birds. But then my wife and I looked at those birds, and we decided something. The birds couldn't have built a nest on the terrace of a house where we were constantly fighting in chaos. They wouldn't want to be around that chaos. They thought it peaceful enough in our house to build a family of their own on the outside of it. That's the type of tree that we need to be. A tree that is strong enough in our branches that we can sustain the life of someone else that may be falling. How can we then hold up a person that is falling if our branches are brittle and frail, because our faith are brittle and frail? That is the direction of the church. That is the vision that we are going in 2018. Woo! Still in 2017. That is the vision of our church in 2018. To be like what? A tree. Planted, strong, but flexible and able to move, but still unwavering in our beliefs and our faiths, but able to sway with the winds that constantly change. That is why this song of this month is so important. What does it say? He is sweet, I know. Storm clouds may rise, strong winds may what? But it doesn't matter how hard the wind blows. Doesn't matter how hard the rain falls. As long as we are rooted in what? We will not falter. That is the vision that I have for all of us. That is why today we are blessing children. Why do we bless children? Because children are the foundation of our faith. Not you, not me. Children. Why? Because we will die, and the children will be left to carry whatever burden we placed on them right now. If we are good stewards of our children, we will train them up in the ways they will go, and when they are old, they will what?
Not depart.
But how can they not depart if we don't train them correctly? So many lost children now. So many lost children now. You say, how can you be so lost? But then you look at the mom and the dad, you say, do you? Now sometimes children go their own way, but other times I have to say that it is our own faults as the elders not guiding them correctly, not rooting them in the faith correctly. I take part of the blame myself as a man of the cloth for this. That is why in this juncture in our time, in 2018, with the world going crazy all around us, with the winds constantly blowing, look at our economic system. Look at our government. Look at the insanity that's happening. Wars and whispers of wars constantly, all swirling all around us. Who can be the beacon of light in such darkness? The world is looking to us because we are the only ones left. We are what? The only ones left. I challenge us all now to not be Christian in name, but to be Christian in what? Verb, in action, in what we do, in what we show. I have no crosses on me today. I want my life to be a Christian life.
Yes.
I want people to see me and see something different than the world. I want people to see me and know that there's something strange about that one. And maybe they might come over and ask me. And maybe I might be able to tell them, well, I'm a Christian. And they might say, okay, I want some of what he's got. I want some of his happiness even when I know he's going through it. I want some of his joy even though I know he's feeling pain. I want some of his wisdom even though I know he may not know the answer within himself. Wisdom, even though he doesn't know the answer within himself? Yes, because I trust who? God.
Yes.
Because God will give me that wisdom. God will show me the path if I only let him. So when I say we're setting the vision for the church can only go as far as our families go. And our families can only go as far as what? We go. I go. You go. You go. In 2018, we're going to have a crazy year.
Yes.
But it's going to be a good year. We're going to be tossed to and fro. So many things is going to happen. The sky's not going to fall though. We'll be able to hold on. Not because the world is so good, but because we are rooted what?
In Christ.
So when I say our work is not done, we have only just begun. But we're right in the middle of it. Look at where we are. Wherever you are, you're on the battlefield. Wherever you are right on the front line. Whenever you raise your hand and say, I'm a Christian, you are raising your hand to be attacked. Welcome the attack with a smile. Because you know, no matter what the attack comes, no matter what the enemy may bring, no matter what insanity may ensue, you are rooted in what?
Christ.
And that foundation no man can take away.
Yes.
That foundation no man can take away. But no one will build the temple for you. No one will build the temple for you. No one will build this church for us. No one will build your family for you. No one will make your children holy. No one will guide your children the way you will. No one.
Yes.
Do not rely on others. We can only rely on what? Ourselves. And if we can rely on ourselves, then we can trust in what? God to lead us through.
Yes.
And then, once we have that foundation, we can reach out our branches to other trees. Some weak, some strong. We can welcome in the birds to build nests. We can welcome in the families that don't have homes. We can welcome in the insanity that they're going to bring, because their insanity isn't going to touch us. Because why? We're grown.
Yes.
That is my prayer for you for 2018. Ground yourself and be ready for the coming storms. Thank you. Check the camera. All right, so now we're going to do something that's kind of unique to Sacred Life. We do a question and answer period. That is right. We do a question and answer period. Scary for me. Don't put her hand down. She's gonna.
She gotta get off my lap and ask them.
Okay.
You gotta be a bit.
I'm rolling with her. You know, my kid asks the same question every week. Although last week he tricked me and gave me a different question, but I still answer those questions. I answer them all. So we have like a 10 to 15 minute window to ask and answer questions. You can also give statements. If something touched you in a sermon or in this week, you can give a testimony. This is the time for opening the floor. It is a scary time for me, but I love it every week. So I'm opening the door. Please speak loudly so that the people that are visiting with us online can hear. And the floor is open.
Questions?
How do you handle, you've done all you can do with your child to take them to church, read the Bible with them, pray with them. You've done all that you know how to do. But when that child becomes of an age where they technically start thinking for themselves, the teenage years, the late teenage years, and they are completely out of control because they feel that they're old enough to go do their own thing. And they're causing havoc in your home because they're no longer doing what they've been doing for like the last 15 years. And now they're bringing havoc into your home. How do you handle, without almost killing that child, how do you handle that type of chaos coming into your home when it lives in your home?
Here's the thing. There's a sect of Christians, the Amish. They have a time before the child actually becomes Amish, right? So the child is technically covered by the parents, and then they get of an age, I can't remember the exact age, but then they get a time to go out to the world, see whatever they're going to see, and then they make a choice. Do you want to be Amish or do you choose the world? And they lose some people. Some people choose the world. Some people are like, you know what? I'm out of here. I tasted the world and I love it. And then some people are like, you know what? I tasted the world and that's not for me, and they come back. The Bible doesn't say that the child will go out, you train them up and they'll stay with you forever. They will depart. But the thing is, they will depart and then come right back. They won't depart too far. Like they might go and it might seem like it's far to you. I'll give you an example. Marijuana, right? Marijuana. I was talking to a mom not too long ago because she was tripping out because her like 16-year-old was smoking marijuana, right? He wasn't smoking it all the time. He wasn't like an addict, but he was smoking marijuana. And so I was like, okay, so mom was ready to send him to boot camp and all of this to stop him from the marijuana. I said, okay, no, wait. When you were 16, because we always forget, right? Like we always forget what we were when we were 16, right? Because we were never 16 and we were never rebellious. We were always right there, right? So I was like, when you were 16, or let's just say 21 or 18 or anything, would you stop drinking? right? Because drinking is legal at 21. Was there something that I could have told you to stop you from drinking? And she was like, no. In this day and age, being that marijuana is becoming legal, marijuana is this generation's alcohol. What do I say? What do I mean by that, though? I mean that we have trained them up. There has to be a point where we say, you know what, child? I've taught you the foundation. You now have to make a choice on your own whether or not you're going to accept that foundation or move on. The time that I became a Christian, was when I stopped going to church with my mom and started going to church for myself. See, when I was going to church with my mom, I loved church. But I was still going to church with my mom, and it was my mom's church and my mom's religion. I really didn't interact too much. But it's when I made the choice for myself to go to church, is when I really became a Christian. So you're going to go through chaos, is what I'm saying. If you don't go through chaos early, you're probably going to go through chaos late. They call it a midlife crisis or whatever. But you're going to go through chaos because eventually you're going to have to question your foundation. You've got to do that. It's a natural part of growing up, to question everything. Because you have imparted a religion onto me. Right? You've given me that. But I've never really thought it through myself. So you've given me something that I've never really thought of myself. Because I never really thought of it myself, when I do start to think of it myself, there's all these other influences that are constantly forcing me to think of it a different way. There's way more non-Christian influences than Christian influences. But if we train them up in the way they should go, they'll remember in their hearts, oh, I'm a Christian, and they'll come back. So how do you handle the chaos? You pray. And you pray, God, please don't kill him. But let him get whatever he needs to get, but just don't what? Don't kill him. Let him live. But I understand, because remember, we were all what? 16. We were all 16 once. And I know I was 16, and whatever you see now, well, it was not at 16. It was not at 16. Matter of fact, it was not at 21, let me tell you. When I was 21, you couldn't tell me Nathan. I was running my own program, which was not the best program, but it was mine either way. I saw a hand in the back, sir.
Question?
Yes, Pastor, you brought a good lesson on the tree. And 2 days ago, I heard a great lesson just like you taught. Now, what's the strength of the tree lies for it to be the tree it should be?
The strength of the tree, the trunk, is what you can see. And then you see the branches. Then you see the leaves. Then you see the fruit. But the true strength comes from the foundation, which is the roots, that sometimes go miles and miles beneath the ground. The stronger the tree, the stronger the roots. But also, the strength lies in the seed of the tree. The tree is only there to propagate itself, to multiply itself, to make another of itself. Christians, if you're only strong for yourself, then you're not really a strong Christian. You are strong so that you can plant a seed into somebody else. That seed will then make another of yourself in that person, which means another believer. Because ultimately the church is designed not for the believers, but for those that are not believers, so that they don't go to hell.
Amen.
So the important parts of it is the roots, but it's also the what?
The seed.
The seed. But we often forget the seed because we're so focused on the root. But if we forget the seed, then we forget that we are designed by nature to go out, go ye therefore, and what? Teach all the nations.
Do with Reverend Gray that I could not do for him anymore. I had taken Aaron as far as Reverend Gray could go, and now he was in God's hands. And I could not find him His friends didn't know where he was. He wouldn't contact me. He was angry with me because I wasn't going along with his program. And that's where God and Aaron met each other without any influence from me at all. So I have been where a whole lot of parents have been when you're at your wit's end with your child because they're doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, and they're doing stuff that you think may harm them, and they won't stop. And I hope nobody does what I did until God knows. Because I had no problem telling God no. I have that, me and God, we have that kind of conversation. So when I said no, I really meant no. I'm not going to give him to you. Because I'm fearful of what you do to him. And what I did not know is God was going to give him back to me better than when he left.
So yeah, that's so it's I'm actually looking forward to with fear and trepidation. I have a 7-year-old and now a couple-month-year-old, but it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So, but that's it. The goal is that if you give them the strong roots, that's all you can really do. And then after that, you have to let them mature into whatever they're going to be. But I'll tell you what, without the storm, without the pain, without all of those things that chiseled me. I talked last week or so about the way that you make a sword, right? How do you make a sword? And there's this TV show that my son and I watch called Forged in Fire. You ever watch this, Forged in Fire? Obviously, I said my son and I watched it. So, when you look at Forged in Fire, they take this lump of metal. And I'm like, what are they going to do with this? It's just some metal. And then they pound it, and they put it in a fire, and they come out and they beat it, and they put it in a fire, and it comes out, and then it comes out to this beautiful blade. Yeah. But that's how we are. We're forged, literally, in fire. We're forged in fire. And the fire makes us whoever we are going to be in Christ. Questions or thoughts? Questions or thoughts? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know.
Can you speak a little louder?
God expects us to be disciples and go out and reach others. And you have tried, to reach others, and seemingly is not getting through. What do you do, or what else do you do other than prayer, other than speaking, other than showing? What else is the next step in trying to do this? Now, I saw my mother go through this, and it was not until she died that what she was praying for and what she was trying to do came to fruition. She didn't get to see that. Yeah.
That is such a great question. What do you do when you've done all you can? Here's the thing. The question is not what do I do? Who saves is the question. Who saves? If I save, then I continue to do more. But I do not save. Who saves? Jesus saves. I can only show you that you're in a burning building. I can only show that to you. Now, if no one shows you that you're in a burning building, like if I'm standing on the outside looking at you and I see that you're in a burning building and I don't do anything, that's on me. Right? Because I know that you're in a burning building and I didn't do anything to help you. But if I show you, I say, hey, sweetie, you're in a burning building, and you choose to be in a burning building, then what's going to happen is you're going to reach your hand out and grab me and pull me into that burning building too. Because I can't pull you up if you don't want. When in the lifeguard, believe it or not, I'm a lifeguard, can't swim, funny story. So what they teach you in being a lifeguard is that if the person is flailing around and is not wanting your help, that person will make you drown. You got to step back and let that person pass out, and then pull them and do whatever you can do. But if you're fighting and they're fighting and they hit you and you go out, now you're both drowning. Your life is the only thing I can do now. I've showed you that you're in a burning building. And now I'm going to let my life be a beacon to you. But beyond that, if you don't choose it, there's some people that are going to choose to go to hell. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But some people are going to choose willingly, with a smile, to go to hell. All I can do for that person is what? Hey, sweetie, you're on the path to hell. After I do that, and I try to help you out, I try to show you, I try to do all of that, at that point, you have now made a choice that who am I to go against your choice? I can't take your choice away. Now I know you love the person. You love them. That's the problem. Love.
Yeah.
So you say, I can't let that person go because I love them. Jesus met a man in a graveyard. I was on this series for a long time. Go back and watch the videos. Jesus met a man in the graveyard. The town loved the man, but they had to let him what? Be in the graveyard. If they had not let him be in the graveyard, Jesus would have never met him and saved him. It was because the town let him go and live in the graveyard, which meant basically they let him die. While he was alive, they let him die. It was because they let him die that he was able to what? Live. Some people you gotta let go. You are stopping them from their blessing. Every time they fall, I pick them up. Every time they fall, I pick them up. Every time they fall, I pick them up. Eventually, you are now their God. Because you keep what? So they never get the natural consequences of their action. I had to be homeless, eat out of a trash can to understand. It's just what it is. The worst and the best time of my life. So the answer to your question is, I know you love the person. Because if you didn't love them, then you wouldn't ask the question. But if you really love them, then you've got to let them go. Let them be in the graveyard. Because only in the graveyard do some people find Jesus. But if you don't, if you keep saving them, then they're never in the graveyard. Then why do I need Jesus? I have you.